What's up everyone, I'm Evan, rhythm guitarist in Lake Mosaic. Today I'm going to be breaking down a riff from our first single, What's Left of Me.
So now I try to stay sane, but I walk this road so far away. There's nothing here that's left for me. Sometimes even hope doesn't seal up the break. When there's nothing left to give, when there's nothing left to give. Can you see what's left of me?
Let's take a look at what's going on here. Now, these power chords that start us off outline a very common chord progression in rock, metal, punk, any other adjacent genre you want to come up with. We start with a power chord built on the 4th fret, or an F power chord since we're tuned to drop C sharp or D flat. Then we go to the open D flat power chord below that. Next, we go up to the 7th fret for a power chord built on A flat, and then finally up to the 9th fret for a B flat power chord. So we have F, D flat, A flat, B flat in quick succession. If we took out the D flat, we'd have a very common motion of F, A flat, B flat. In the key of F minor, we might say that this is 1, 3, 4. 1 would be the tonic, or the central chord of the song, and Roman numerals are ways of indicating the parts of the scale that the chords are built on. You might recognize this as the chord progression of Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. But what's even cooler is that this chord progression is actually derived from the pentatonic scale. Or its more commonly used relative, the blues scale. I'll point the notes out from the chord progression as I play the blues scale. There's our F, our first note. The next note of the blues scale, A flat. Next note of the blues scale, B flat. Now, I've left the D flat out because it's part of another super common chord progression, which goes all the way back to rock and roll, blues music, 6, flat 7, 1. And it's derived from the natural minor scale. Might not be obvious how this relates, so let me play the two progressions back to back. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. Maybe you can hear how both of these progressions have kind of a sense of gravity to them, and how they seem to just keep pulling us back toward the tonic or that F. So the blues scale feels more rooted and stable until we get to the 5th scale degree, which is why a 5 chord in the blues is usually such a big signal that we're going to move on to a new section of the song. In classical music, it's much the same when we hear that chord. In the music we're talking about, though, it's all about power and intensity, so having that strong sense of tonic is a must, that sense of gravity pulling towards that central chord or note. Using progressions based on the blues scale gives us an even stronger sense of home. But moving on to the next part of the riff, we've got something even cooler happening. That note up here on the 11th fret is a C, which is the 5th scale degree in our key of F minor. It's also a major 7th away from C sharp or D flat, which is our lowest strings pitch, and it's the 6th scale degree of F minor. So when we play that part of the lick, we're oscillating between the 5th and 6th scale degrees of the key, which is actually an extremely common thing that classical composers have been doing for centuries in order to build tension in a piece of music. This is because every time we hear the 5th scale degree in our blues scale sound world, or in a minor key in something classical, we want to resolve back to the tonic, or that main pitch. So if I played that part of the riff and just went back to F, it would sound totally normal. That would totally work if we just went back to F, but Adam wrote something way cooler in this riff. If you're listening closely, you hopefully heard that 6, flat 7, 1 progression again in there. Here's where it happens. That sliding lick in the middle of the riff actually outlines that chord progression that I talked about earlier. Then we add a quick inverted power chord on the top 2 strings, which also happen to be the same pitches as the flat 7 power chord, so they're just separated by octaves. Then we go to a D flat major 7th chord, which is followed by a major chord on our flat 7th scale degree, which leads us right back to the tonic F. This is the exact same chord progression that I mentioned earlier, altered with a little bit of what we would call modal mixture. So we have what would normally be minor chords and we turn them into major chords. So we really only have 2 chord progressions that form the basis for this entire chorus riff in our song, What's Left of Me. It doesn't make it simple to play, but it does give the song a sense of unity because these progressions show up all over the rest of the tune. So hopefully this gives y'all some insights into this song, and maybe it'll give you some ideas for songwriting in your own tunes. Hope y'all enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more theory breakdowns.
The satisfaction doesn't get